quiet. I'm hunting weapons.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Game Time with Kit, and yeah, more Breath of the Wild today, because I can, okay? Get off my back. So, as you can see, I've been quite busy since our last video. As I've made clear before, this isn't exactly a full gameplay series. I kind of just do highlights. And yeah, the only thing that's completely locked in right now for the Breath of the Wild series, like in terms of what we're actually going to be covering, is that I know we're going to cover yeah, I know we're going to be covering the Divine Beasts, despite the fact that I've clearly already done 3 out of 4 of them. That is the current plan. And the only thing that's actually locked in. We will also be covering Calamity Ganon, but I feel like that much is obvious. I don't like talking about Breath of the Wild, so, as I've made quite clear. Partly because of the fact that the fan base has decided that any and all slagging off Breath of the Wild is just because people are bad at the game. Okay. I had rather hoped that that would have worked, but apparently not. I mean, it is... The physics engine in this game is fun, I will admit. And it is nice to have an open world game where there is a good physics engine, because God knows most games don't have one. What the fuck is it playing at? There we go. So yeah, last time we were playing, I don't really remember what we took care of. But I've already abandoned most of the quest stuff that I was doing before. Ah, it's a headpiece. There we go. So yeah. Still haven't gone and visited any Koroks yet. Okay. I haven't gone and tried any Korok seeds. If truth be told, I just keep forgetting to go. As you can see, I've already got, like, a great deal of them. Korok seeds are fine until later in the game, where they're just kind of stupid. impeccable timing. Okay. Okay, not quite. Okay, right, I see. Not an overly difficult shrine, if you pay attention to it. I'm having more trouble putting the ball in place. Okay. Alright. Fascinating. Okay. This will be a key. Yeah. So yeah. I like the runes. I do. Hell, I could even hypothetically see myself being okay with Divine Beasts so long as they're not. Well, as long as they're not the main dungeons. There should be 7 or 8 main dungeons, and they should each give you a new rune, really. That's how I see it. And to be honest, I've done all 3 of the ones I tolerate, Divine Beast wise. I find getting into the Divine Beast to be marginally more interesting than actually doing the Divine Beast. Nothing? No? Okay. Okay. It gets me really, like, this being the Zelda game that gets all the recognition. Because it just feels like a very online point. The idea that the open world game is the one that everybody loves. I feel like that's mean. I don't really know how to word my point. Like, I mean, we've moved past these just being Breath of the Wild flagging off sessions now. Like, we're at the point where the game's at least enjoyable again. Because I don't consider Master Mode enjoyable at all, as we've made abundantly clear. I'd probably have enjoyed it more following my fixing of the motion controls, but like, only by a little bit. I need to get some more weapons. I've got quite a bit of... Like, I've got quite a few ores. Okay. That wasn't anything of worth. Yeah, I should probably go and craft some weapons or something soon. Make some actual use of that crafting system I modded in. Because the one thing I will never budge on is that Breath of the Wild's lack of a proper crafting system means that not only is it a game that I don't personally think deserves all the recognition it gets, but I'll go as far as to say that, like, given the system this game runs on, yeah, well, oh, Claymore. Okay, so fun. We've taken down the Hinox, recovered all of this stuff off it. So here's the thing. While usually because I get into a lot of Twitter discussions about this game, because I really am on the side that it is my least favourite 3D Zelda. And I say that as someone that isn't especially attached to Skyward Sword and never has been. Well, I say never. Ugh. Now we got to go all the way over there instead of finishing the quest I was on. Wonderful. Well, that could have ended badly. I'm trying to get as many star fragments as I can. But yeah, I get into quite a few Twitter debates about Breath of the Wild, and that gives me kind of ammo to go up against in the video. You know, I take a thing that somebody uses to defend it. For example, people's most common defence of the weapon system is that it forces you to experiment, to which I say fuck right off. Never needed some dog shit weapon system to experiment before. It's just because the game was afraid of being too linear. I think that that is a silly thing to be afraid of. As I've said before, games should be linear as a rule. Like, the occasional open world game isn't bad, but like, I much prefer my games to have complete structure to them, to tell you that things have to be done in this and this order. And if you can break them for a little bit of ingenuity, then that's just a great part of the game. But the game's design itself shouldn't be. You should go wherever you want and have all the freedom in the world, because that just isn't, to me, that isn't good at all. Okay. Being bullied on the way to a star fragment isn't the one. It really isn't. But yeah, people are often saying that the weapon system forces you to experiment, and To that, I suggest an upgrade system. So, A Link to the Past introduced the idea of sword levels. Like, the Master Sword was originally just the level 2 sword, you know. It wasn't the peak sword. And to be fair, it never seems to be the peak sword. But, like, it was basically the beginning of the upgrading. Okay. But yeah, I don't think that the weapon system as it is good. I never did, really. Like, okay, no, that is bullshit. I never thought the way that you can get items as a reward for dungeons, and then those items would be destroyed like any other item. I never thought that was good. And yet, you have people all over the internet defending it by saying stupid things like, well, if you had this item, you just keep using it forever. So what? Ultimately, forcing you to change weapons is not a good way of enticing me to play your game. It was once said by James Stephanie Sterling that it's a waste of time, basically, to get the items at that point. Because why should I put in all the effort if you're going to take it away? Okay, so... Okay, it's going to do it. Oh shit. That wasn't a bad puzzle, to be fair. I think that was quite creative. I can give praise to games I don't like. So, I've gone back and forth on agreeing with Sterling's point, but they made a good point in general. Like, I don't agree in games like Dark Souls, in which survival is ingrained in that world. And while, yes, Breath of the Wild is now a survival game as opposed to a dungeon crawler adventure RPG kind of deal, I don't actually disagree with Sterling on that general point. Now, that isn't to say I agree with Sterling on everything. I actually don't watch Sterling anymore because of, well, I don't like negative reviewers as a rule. Like, I don't like negative critics. Although Sterling isn't a critic as such anymore. Basically, cynicism is not my thing. I know it's ironic given that this is basically a slander series. But ironically, the idea of me replaying the game while getting out my gripes was to try and reconsider my thoughts on it in time for the sequel. And I'm reconsidering. I am. I don't think the game sucks anymore, but like, I still stand by the fact this shouldn't have been a Zelda game. You know, this could have been a new series. And Zelda could have kept the same formula forever. And I know that sounds like I'm stifling its growth, but like, Zelda's formula hadn't finished growing. And instead, we've taken the wrong lessons from Skyward Sword, and that will never not annoy me. I need to stop using that, really. It will never not annoy me that Skyward Sword taught them to avoid linearity instead of stop putting motion controls in your sodding games. Which is the lesson Nintendo needed to learn from that. You know, I don't... The Skyward Sword's true lesson was motion controls kill games. That is a point I have maintained since... Well, since playing Skyward Sword. Because Skyward Sword was the last 3D Zelda I ever beat. I beat it in 2020, at long last. And I liked it. I quite liked it then. But I go back and forth on how much I like it. Because, to be honest, it's not the best. Like, it's a good Zelda game. Like, it is a really good Zelda game. Like, and actually, its world design I can mostly get behind.
Rivali's Gale is now ready.
I think the only thing is, it's the only Zelda that's actually properly linear. And it does so in a way that it isn't brilliant. Like, I know I've just spent like ages talking about how I think games should be linear, but like, I won't lie. Skyward Sword did it wrong. And this isn't news to anyone. Like, people have been saying that Skyward Sword is too linear forever, but it's not that it's too linear, it's that it handles its linearity the wrong way. Shit. It handles its linearity like... I don't know. It handles it like... Basically, it's a straight path. And I don't like that straight path. It's ironic that even the only side-scroller in the series is less linear than that. When side-scrollers are always linear, as a rule. Because, obviously, like, a traditional side-scroller... To be fair, I've just said that. It's just occurred to me that I'm completely talking out my ass. Their side-scrollers aren't always linear. But the type of side-scroller that Link, Adventure of Link was, it was linear. I don't think Zelda suits open, like properly open though. Zelda has always enjoyed a rather interesting sense of a middle ground. That middle ground took the form of Ocarina of Time offers some little known choices. Like, there's a general order that dungeons should be approached in, but then not. That order isn't entirely... The structure of that order is up for debate. For example, I, as a general rule, do the fire temple before the forest temple. Nobody in their right mind has ever thought to do that because why would they? It's completely insane. Like, you'd think that you need a bow. No, everything is fully accessible with just a hookshot. And ironically, this kind of flows a bit better because, well, yeah. Okay. I'm trying to work out the location of the stables from here. Okay, I need to... try and... Okay, they're just octo balloons. Let's hope I'm going in generally the right direction. Yeah, I don't like radio towers as a rule. Like, ultimately, the biggest criticism I have come up with against Breath of the Wild is that it feels like a better version of a Ubisoft game. Because Ubisoft games are most of the time utter shit, in my opinion. Like, Assassin's Creed used to be really good because it had a really interesting premise. But even that's kind of fizzled out a bit to me. Breath of the Wild is the exact same type of open world game that you would expect from Ubisoft, except it's actually a fucking good game. Like, you know, I always say, and I think I've said this before on the channel as well, but even Zelda on its worst day, in my opinion, is better than Mario on his best. That may seem unfair to some people. It's fine if it does. I'm still gonna stand by it, as I don't really care what anyone thinks about my takes. I'm deemed as taking no shit by some people, and I think that really says it all. Like, I don't care. If I think something, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna sell off all of my fucking gems for the time being. Except for my diamonds, because they're hard to come by. Everything else I have a lot of. This should make it a lot easier to handle stuff. I only want to see how much this will come to. 3,500 is a lot, but I actually need luminous stones for the armor thing. Okay, I'm gonna go and handle the Korok that we marked. Which is over there. I'm currently deciding what the best way to handle this will be. I'm thinking of Rivali's Gale from the top of the cliff. Whoa. Perhaps. I don't think that'll be necessary. There we go. Okay. A lot of the Korok challenges get quite samey, and that is a little bit dull to me. But I also think that Koroks are basically a worse version of Skulltulas, with a slightly better reward initially. Although, to be fair, that's not hard, as I think Skulltula rewards got fucking ridiculous towards the end, like. They're better in Majora's Mask, as I've said in the Majora's Mask series. So that I was going to try and land on him early. So I actually did a thread on my Twitter that basically summed up what I would have done for Breath of the Wild to make it actually work, in my opinion. And so far it hasn't really had a response, because, well, why would it have? Right, I believe that is everything. But yeah, so long story short, I would have had theme bosses for every single province. So, for example, in the Hebrew region, I may have. You remember the Yetis from Snow Peak in Twilight Princess? Something like that. Death Mountain, Giant Dodongo. Akala, a Mega Guardian or something. Central Hyrule would have required you to defeat a... That's a tough one. Gerudo Desert, Molduga. Perhaps Faron would have had a Hinox. Necluda, I don't know. But either way, that's the general gist of my idea. Like, Nintendo could have decided what bosses could go where. But like, you default bosses to gain access to all of this stuff. Like, all of this map information. And shrines would be gated off until you heard of... Well, until you fought them. Just curious on what that is. You know, all shrines in the area would be gated off until the boss has been fought. And that would force you to obtain map information. So yeah, that is what I would have done to kind of... Ah yes, it's this thing. I remember. I'd like a wing cleaver. Thank you. So yeah, that's the general gist of my idea, that you'd have to work at it, basically. I wouldn't want people being able to just blunder in. Now, I'm aware that a lot of Breath of the Wild fans only like Breath of the Wild because it's not linear. And to which I say, non-Zelda fans shouldn't dictate how Zelda's designed, really. Like, ultimately, I get broadening appeal. I do. But there are ways to do that without compromising what was... you know, what Zelda fans of old found to be special about Zelda. I don't believe in that. I just don't. Like, to me, you should still be putting existing fans before you put people that have never played a Zelda game. Because the series is only as good as its fan retention. And alienating old fans by making the series something that the series never was. And that isn't to say no change at all. Like, I can't make it clear enough that you can still change things about the series while maintaining the core. And I don't personally believe, no matter how many times you point out to me that Miyamoto, a man that I've said a million times I don't respect the game design principles of, wanted Zelda to be this. Well, it wasn't this, so yeah, you can get lost on that front. Like, I'm glad they made the game they allegedly wanted to make, but I don't think they should have made this game, personally. And that basically concludes that rant that I feel like I have every video. Because I always feel like when it comes to Breath of the Wild, I have to kind of defend myself a little bit with my standpoint on this game. Because I pose myself as a massive Zelda fan, because I am a massive Zelda fan. Like, no matter what people think of me, it is actually undeniable that I'm a Zelda fan. And yet there are people out there that believe that you should keep going with a series, and you should always love everything a series puts out just because it has that. No, shit. We need to do a video on rain, I think, where I bitch about rain and how, while I understand its presence, can they fuck off? Well, I found the place. Right, pure and simple, there is actually something we can do quite easily about this. Any chance of selling me some arrows? You know what? I'm gonna just buy its whole stocks. 200 rupees. What's wrong? Rebel. Rumor mill. Glowing blue. Yep, I've seen the blue creature. So yeah. So yeah, we definitely need to do a video on rain at some point because I hate rain in Breath of the Wild. I really do. It made the game significantly less fun, and I understand that climbing was overpowered, but I never asked them to add climbing in the first place, so I guess. Like, climbing isn't linear enough, like, it makes it harder to... No, that was a really stupid phrase, I'm sorry. Let me try and find a way of... Okay, I've lost the rupees. Yeah, what I really mean is, like, the climbing... I'm not sure I like that you can climb everything. Okay. And they die. Let's open this thing. 5 arrows. I thought I was being clever, but in reality I could have just taken out the archers the normal way. But yeah, so... To be honest, these aren't very good videos for talking about disliking Breath of the Wild. Like, I don't go nearly in depth enough, given that I don't like the game. I do think we need... I think we need champions of traditional Zelda. I think we need people that... I think we need more people that don't like what Breath of the Wild did for the franchise. I think we need those people speaking out at all times. Because... ultimately I can't do it all alone. And I'm frankly tired of the way it gets discussed online when people dislike the game. Also, the game's not underrated, it's overrated if anything, and even then, like, I don't believe a game can be over or underrated given that it's all subjective. Like, I'm not going to say people are wrong for preferring this style of Zelda. I'm going to say that I don't respect this style of Zelda at all. Ugh, I hate this so much. Okay. But yeah, I don't like... I don't like the way the game gets discussed online. Like, I also think it's abysmal that the soundtrack for this game managed to beat out the soundtrack for Cadence of Hyrule. A game that I admire so fucking much for being, well, a perfect Zelda game, or also being like a perfect Necrodancer game. Like, I love Crypt. It's so good. I'm not very good at Crypt, but it's one of my favourite indie games. And I was actually, for a while, pushing for Cadence to get into Smash. But, alas, the Fighters Pass never ever let that happen, and instead we got something far more insane. Okay. These metal block puzzles can get quite dull. There we go. We really need to go and sort that out soon. Okay, we need to... There we go. I think the last thing we should do is we should go and take a little trip to Dracozu Lake. This direction is the best place to start looking. I just think that that's probably the best idea. Honestly, I love the... I love the springs and stuff, like how you bring a scale of each of the dragons. Oh, shit. Done that already. Okay. We've done quite a good job today. We've covered quite a bit in terms of gameplay. Yeah, like I say, this isn't really a walkthrough. This is a greatest hits video, basically, of sorts. Or, in other words, if ever I feel like I'm up to filming a bit, then I'll do a video. I actually think we're quite close to where I was originally going to be doing a... Like, basically, I filmed footage for... Ferocious thing. What I think this should have been is each spring opens up a proper dungeon. you know, each of the 3 springs will give you access to a proper themed dungeon for each place. Like each of the 3 goddesses. Almost like a Triforce quest. And actually, I think that would be a really high potential idea for Tears of the Kingdom. As I'm not... Instead, we literally get blessings, and I don't think that's right. I really don't. I've only got ferocious stuff because of the fact that, well, life's unfair and then you're dead, as I'm always saying. Right, we nearly have like 3 hearts worth, because I always focus on hearts until I can get the Master Sword, and I'm not entirely sure if I've got enough hearts for the Master Sword. Do you know what? That'll be the last thing we do today, because I feel like that's a good idea. We're going to go and do the Korok thing. I'm just going to check to see if this spring has any items. Yeah, this was where I filmed the intro all that time ago. I just want to check something. Okay, that is a massive missed opportunity. So, and if I still have the footage, I'm going to attach it to this video. The general idea was I would sneak up on the moblin and I would sneak strike it, and in the background would play Bugs Bunny's whole shh. No, not Bugs Bunny. Elmer Fudd's whole shh. Be very, very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits. Because, well, it's funny, isn't it? So, yay. I guess. Yay me. But yeah, so I think that if I still have the video somewhere, I'll attach it. I don't know if I do. I actually might have loaded it a while ago, because basically as a rule, if I ever had leftover footage that I couldn't see me ever using, I would just upload it, you know. This was from the days where I couldn't like record audio while I was recording gameplay, and so I'd record some gameplay and I'd occasionally record commentary over it. And back when my review of Breath of the Wild would have been a glowing positive review, as opposed to a more scathing, what the hell have they done to my favourite franchise? We actually have to go and visit Hestu in order to do what I have planned. But yeah. So yeah, we'll go and visit Hestu, and we'll do the side quest run. To be fair, these are already too long. What's 15 more minutes? At least. The joys of the fact that I fly into Kakariko like it's no one's business. That's one of the first corals you're supposed to find. Instead, I already have 75 of them found. The nature of this playthrough is that I wanted to try and do a bit more with it. Right. Of course I can see you. Not far from here. Well, it's pissing it down. So, I think the meanest thing I can do to these enemies is rock up with my thunder spear. Come at me. They all thought they were so big and clever. Okay. Just want to check. How many arrows are we on? 86, okay. Right, so I need more stuff from my weapon stash. Da na 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 na. Okay, I will see you guys when this is done. Apparently, you can only change it, like you can only do it twice before that. That's fine. We are going to go over to Lanayru so we can go to Coral Forest anyway. And then, once we have the Master Sword, that will be the end of the video. As I believe I do have access to the Master Sword. I believe. If not, I have the general idea that, like, I'm pretty close. It's just occurred to me that I've just completely misjudged that. It's Woodland Town, not Lanayru. What the fuck is wrong with it? Since when has it ever been in Lanayru? Then again, it's supposed to be in the Faron province, but we're letting that go. Hyrul's geometry is a bit weird. Like, it shifts every few centuries. You know, that's perfectly normal for a kingdom that is pretty much destroyed every other week. It's not every other week, it's every other century, but like... oh well. The entrance to the forest is over there, so... we've only managed to unlock 2 slots. I will deal with Hestu in between videos. The chances are. Okay. They're torch round. Okay. There should be a torch round somewhere. Oh, I get it. You follow the torchlight up until you get to a certain point. Okay. And then a torch is leaning against the thing. Right. This is the fun bit. Forest Wall Spear isn't too bad. Well, that's horrendous. It's supposed to... Okay. Okay, we're getting close. Okay. And we enter. Just gonna stick that up. Well, the Sword of Evil's Bane. And memories.
You are our final hope. The fate of Hyrule rests with you.
It's like when Cal Kestis holds the lightsaber belonging to the second sister. I imagine the Great Executor of Tom Baker's voice, not gonna lie. But I think that's just because I picture him to be quite similar to the Bendu from Star Wars Rebels. You know, old, wise, and kind of part of the furniture.
That is the weapon created by the ancient goddess
Fun fact. These sound effects are in this game, which I quite like. I like some of the minor details of this game. Shocker.
I must warn you to take extreme caution. The sword stands as a test to anyone who would dare attempt to possess it.
Good for you.
As you are now, I cannot say whether you are worthy or not. If you sought to free the sword in any sort of weakened state, you would surely lose your life where you stand.
This does of course mean when we get the sword, the next video will probably be... to be fair, I'm probably not going to do a full video on the Trials of the Sword, but I might do the final trial. The Hero's Sword. Come on. Finish this. We did it. Just about. We've done a jolly good job there. We've done a brilliant job. Like,
Your master will come for you.
I don't know what I thought I was doing saying that.
You shall rest safely here. Although the slumber of restoration will most certainly deprive him of his memories, please trust me when I say that I know he will arrive before you yet again.
If I may be so bold, what is it that you are planning to do next, Princess?
The Master Sword. I heard it speak to me.
Yeah.
It seems that my role is unfinished. There is still something I must do.
I sense there is great strength in your dedication.
Great Deku I ask of you, when he returns, can you please relay this message? Tell him I...
Now then, words intended for him would sound much better in tones of your voice. Don't you think?
I do get quite emotional about some of this sort of stuff. Like,
Yes.
it really got me when the king died. Like, Faron's sacrifice meant everything, and then Major Calamity ruined it, which it annoyed me a bit. "100 years for the sword to fix itself." The fact that the sword spoke to the princess really states what happened there.
What you just saw happened where you stand 100 years ago. After you were separated from the sword, the princess thought to bring it here, where she knew that it would be safe under my watch. She continues to fight, trapped deep within the confines of Hyrule Castle. Her heart cascades with faith that you will return, She has a smile like the sun.
She is the prettiest Zelda. She is.
Feel its warmth upon me once again.
Although Twilight Princess Zelda is basically peak. So, we've obtained the Master Sword. At long last, we've obtained the Sword of Evil's Bane. And with that, I think it would be fitting to end this playthrough for the time being. And we'll pick up probably just before facing Varudania. Maybe. There might be another place we pick up. So I hope you all enjoyed this. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, come join the Discord, and come follow the Twitter for news and updates and stuff. Sayonara, my friends. I'll see you around next time.